all batteries are the same. Consider this. It was a beautiful day in the park.
Kevin, can you hand me
That turned to panic in an instant.
According to the U.S. National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, every year just under 2 million children go missing in the U.S. and Europe alone.
And everything depended on a brick house child locator.
Kevin!
Know where your kids are with Kids Locator 24/7.
And packed inside every locator is the only battery brick house trusts. Duracell. So even if you hope you'll never have to use it, it still has to work.
A concerned family contacted 11 News about a new policy at an area high school. The school says it is just trying to keep kids safe, but some parents call it spying. 11 News reporter Tiffany Craig shows us how it works.
Santa Fe High School feels a bit like, well, prison for 18-year-old Patrick Mann.
Normally the only people you would track would be, per se, prisoners or somebody that's done something very wrong.
You see, Patrick and his classmates have to wear an ID badge with a tracking device inside. He admits getting busted a few days ago.
At that shell station, they can still see exactly where I am. And I know that because I left the other day and the school cops came up there and said, hey, you need to get back to the school, we tracked you over here.
Santa Fe ISD got the idea from schools in spring. Spokesperson Patty Hansard says the bottom line is safety and security.
I really don't understand the concern piece there because basically that is our responsibility, is to make sure that we have a safe and secure environment.
If students forget their badges, a temporary ID is $1 a day. Replacement cards are $15, and the money goes back into the program. One parent told us off camera she doesn't like these badges because it gives her son absolutely no privacy. He is watched every second of the day he's on campus. Letters were sent home about the new badges, but that's not changing the minds of some parents and students like Patrick, who feel the program intended for safety feels more like spying.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2011. I'm Darko. Please visit my website, www.ggnonline.com. That's ggnonline.com. I just posted a poll there. You can go check it out and vote. Just a quick comment on that tracking video. It's too bad that Jeff Bridges participated in that Duracell commercial to basically glorify tracking chips. Now, I'm sure, just knowing a little bit about Jeff Bridges, he probably isn't for it. He's probably just doing the commercial for Duracell because he is the voice of them. So the other thing too was, man, did you see that child that like ran off with that little remote control car? It's just like that was pretty creepy, dude. Just like, who does that? You know, he had like he looked like a zombie or something, like a what is it? A faceless expression. So I mean, the best thing is to teach your kids how to think. You know, basically. Your gut instinct. I know when I was little, you know, I grew up in the 80s, early 90s, and I remember all the time there was reports of, you know, stranger dangers riding around the grammar school, and it was really more, it just, I remember when I was younger, it really just kind of scared me, but I remember I was just like, well, if I see them, you know, if I see that white van or whatever, I'm just going to take off. I mean, it's simple as that, dude, and scream as loud as you can. I mean, that's the best thing you can do is know how to judge people when you meet them, not to just basically not talk to anybody, but that's how it is now. So, and it's all about fear. And I was happy to see those two students there basically saying that, it's a bunch of BS. And, they are followed and tracked throughout all these schools now. Most, if not all, schools have cameras inside them. They do have, if they don't have city police, they will have security and metal detectors. Eventually, they'll have body scanners in there. So, I mean, they're definitely already regulated and tracked and traced. And again, there you go. It's all about what? All in the name of keeping the kids safe. And if you're not for tracking the children, well, then you're not for keeping them safe. Okay, so we left off with actually this article, but it says first U.S. drone attack in Pakistan in weeks kills 7. And talking about a drone strike that killed at least 7 people on Monday in a tribal region along Pakistan's western border. Local officials said the first such attack in a month as diplomatic feud strains U.S.-Pakistani ties. Then we have this. Arrested U.S. official is actually a CIA contractor. And as mentioned towards the end of the last video, how ridiculous this story is because, well, I'm going to get to it here, but it was basically this article, CIA spy captured, giving nuclear bomb to terrorists. And this was February 11th. I covered this almost a week ago. And this article is now the 21st, so almost 11 days later, and they finally come out and say that this jerk-off is a CIA operative. Because why? They were lying to the people, and they were trying to basically repress it so that, a worse come to worse, they'll just basically, like I said when I presented that video, they'll burn him, and they'll let him go. And but they're still trying to protect him, their asset, and basically that's what it is. So... it says here, an American jailed in Pakistan for the fatal shooting of 2 armed men was secretly working for the CIA and scouting a neighborhood when he was arrested, a disclosure likely to further frustrate U.S. government efforts to free the man and strain relations between 2 countries partnered in a fragile alliance in the war on terror. It's the war of terror, and it's not really an alliance, it's coercion. You have a puppet government and people who really don't want them there. They don't really want the Taliban, they just want to be left alone, just like most people. But you got to choose between the left and the right, so while there's this chaos going on, there's always the order, and then you'll have the powers that be presenting both sides. You can run to democracy, you can run to a dictatorship, you can run to the Taliban, or you can run to the West, the West-backed government. Musharraf, Pakistan victims' brothers don't want U.S. money, says brothers of the 2 Pakistanis shot dead by an American CIA operative rejected the idea of a financial settlement in a case straining diplomatic ties between the 2 counterterrorism allies, with one brother insisting Thursday that he wanted, quote, blood for blood, not a payoff. So, and that's kind of understandable, right? Pakistan says American CIA link has no bearing on murder trial. Pakistan insisted on Tuesday that the courts would decide the fate of an American detained on murder charges, even after it was revealed he was a CIA contractor whom Washington says enjoys diplomatic immunity. So remember, when they couldn't do anything, they said, you better give him back. He's a diplomat. He has diplomatic immunity. No, he was an operative, dude. Fact box, what did CIA contractor Davis do in Pakistan's Lahore? Conspiracy theories swirl around the case of Raymond Davis. Here we go. Remember, if it says fact box, what does that mean? It means they're facts fixing. They're fixing the facts. In other words, I'm manipulating the truth. A CIA contractor being held in Pakistan for shooting dead 2 men, but Pakistani police reports appear to support his account that he was the target of armed robbers. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? Pakistani police reports appear to support his account, right? Because they're backed by the U.S. government. And but some Pakistani media and officials, that must be mainstream media, so it must not be true, and they dispute Davis's claim. And it says here, the United States says Davis is a consular employee, enjoys diplomatic immunity, and should be released immediately. CIA spy captured giving nuclear bomb to terrorists, while all eyes are in the West and currently trained on ongoing revolution take place in Egypt. Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service is warning that the situation on the subcontinent has turned grave as it appears open warfare is about to break between Pakistan and the United States. And it goes on here, and it says Davis was captured by Pakistani police after he shot and killed 2 men in the eastern city of Lahore on January 27th that the U.S. claims were trying to rob. And I'll just finish up right here and move on. Pakistan, however, says that the 2 men Davis killed were ISI agents, that's Pakistani ISI intelligence agents, sent to follow him after it was discovered he had been making contact with, Al-Qaeda. Well, he is CIA, so he's going to contact Al-Qaeda after his cell phone was tracked to the Waziristan tribal area bordering Afghanistan, where the Pakistani Taliban and a dozen other militant groups have forged a safe haven, and former CIA agent Tim Osman, also known as Osama bin Laden, is believed to be hiding. So, why Wisconsin's economic protests will only spread as healthcare costs bankrupt the states. And says what you're really seeing today with the union workers' protests in Madison, Wisconsin, is a collision of money desires with fiscal reality. Everywhere across the country, union workers want to take home more money across the board, from teachers and firemen to law enforcement officers and government office workers. Everybody wants a bigger paycheck, but the states are going broke, and the economic realities we're now facing are making everybody nervous. And we're going to move on here, and it says exclusive troopers would absolutely, in quotations, use force on Wisconsin protesters if ordered, police union president tells Raw. So that's interesting, right? So let's move on to this. This is from December 24th, 2008. U.S. Marines would be willing to fire upon American citizens. According to this study, about 1 in 4 U.S. Marines would be willing to fire upon American citizens in a government gun confiscation program, according to the results of a survey undertaken nearly a year ago at the Marine Corps base in Southern California. That's 29 Palm survivors. Actually, we're going to move up here. In addition, more than 4 out of 5 of the Marines surveyed indicated that they would be willing to participate in missions under a U.S. National Emergency Police Force. So there you go, folks. And then look at this, $170 million Mock City rises. Where? Oh, at the 29 Palms Marine Base. This was when? January 26, 2011, a Mock City, roughly the size of downtown San Diego, has risen in a remote Southern California desert to train military forces to fight in urban environments. And I was stationed there for a month, and it's a shithole. Indiana Democrats block action on union bill, and then we have Pentagon aide was killed by hitman, claims distraught widow. And remember this story about the man that looked like he was drunk, walking around and dumped in a landfill. Dumped in a dump, really. Prominent Washington aide John Wheeler was assassinated by a hitman in a targeted killing, his widow has claimed. It's interesting because this guy actually worked for some kind of chemical weapons, actually I think it was biological weapons program, and he was for not using it. I just remember that. It was part of the Army biological CBR weapons program. And basically, they killed him. Military wants more global partnerships in space. U.S. military needs to better protect its satellites and strengthen its ability to use them as weapons as the uncharted battlefield of space becomes increasingly crowded and dangerous, Pentagon leaders say. That's a bunch of crock, right? Because there's 13 ruling families and they run the entire planet. So, I mean, it's a joke, right? It's a joke. Canada, U.S. agreed to use, who are they going to be fighting? Aliens? Well, until the aliens start to come here. Actually, if there are aliens, to be honest with you, I'm sure that they're scared shitless to even come down here. I'm sure that there is an entire grid, like a gate, a protection gate, where we can't get out and they can't get in. And I'm sure the Pentagon Defense is preparing for everything. It says here, Canada, U.S. agreed to use each other's troops in civil emergencies, and so here we go. They keep pushing it, and we've just been covering about Canada trying to force the U.S. to put troops on the border, as Mexico is actually, this is the thing, I reported this, Mexican troops are pulling Americans over on American soil and doing car checks, checking your car, searches. U.S. entering direct talks with the Taliban, says a report. That means they got to renegotiate their contracts to not attack their convoys. U.S. gives Egypt $150 million to help with the transition. Hey, thanks, guys. Good. Don't worry about your own country. Where in Detroit there's 50% unemployment, and they're going to cut all the programs for schools. 11-year-old arrested in Colorado for drawing stick figures. Texas to allow guns on campuses, And then we got DoD talks up plans to deploy cyber commandos. U.S. government shuts down 84,000 websites. GPS tracks high school truants.